So today I've got an awesome Massachusetts brawl and carry for you. This is a very, very close match, and those are kind of rare these days, so I really wanted to savor this one. So we'll upload it to YouTube, put a commentary on it, and hope you enjoy this one. Tier 8 matchmaker, of course, getting lucky, I won't deny. Only a Tier 6 carrier. Of course, a Molotov loves to eat citadels, so that's what it does. And yeah, we get pretty lucky in this one with the matchmaker, I won't deny. And that's what it takes these days to really get good brawls and good matches these days with Tier 8. You have to get at least fighting your own tier to get a good match. Even fighting Tier 9s, a lot of the time Tier 8 struggles there too, because power levels increase pretty dramatically when you go from Tier 8 to Tier 9 and then 9 to 10. When you compare that to Tier 6, Tier 7 to Tier 8, the power levels don't jump quite as much, in my opinion, as they do when you go up to the higher tiers, right? So what are we doing right now? We are pushing in. And we're not pushing too aggressively at the beginning. That's the key here. We can't push at the beginning when we don't know where everything is. We need to find a few more ships, learn where the enemy carrier wants to go, all that kind of stuff. And besides, pushing this choke point on north is a really bad idea. This choke point is best when you hold it, not push through it. You open yourself up to torpedoes, crossfires, the focus of pretty much the entire enemy team. So pushing through here is not a good idea, but I am coming close by because I want to support my DDs. Unfortunately, our Izashio decides to eat a torpedo from the Akatsuki on the enemy team, and, well, that means we've lost control of the 9-10 line, and that means this position is not safe anymore. A position like this is amazing so long as there's nobody on the 9-10 line, or at least there's a stalemate over there. As soon as you allow someone to flank around, it's just an awful experience being here. You're spotted permanently by the enemy team. That Akatsuki will be up on our north end in no time. So there's no going and shooting from cover and not getting detected, that kind of thing over this island. That doesn't happen anymore. So the enemy team has a distinct advantage. Spotting and probably firepower-wise as well on this side, if I had to guess. There's probably a destroyer or two around here near this choke point, because it's a very good position to be in, right, if you're an enemy destroyer. I decided to take a blind shot, and of course the Molotov gets spotted. I was assuming he wouldn't, and we could have killed him here, but unfortunately we only get the one overpen. We did miss, to be fair. I'm not complaining about that at all. Yeah, so we can't stay here, but our Massachusetts is pushing in. So what do you do when you know that your team is in a bad position and you're playing in a bad way? What do you do? Do you run away? Do you go find a good position for yourself? That's sometimes the right answer, but in this case, I think the best thing I can possibly do is turn in and actually support my Massachusetts. He's gonna die. He's on full health, but he's gonna die if he continues with this. So, my goal is to try and keep the guys who are gonna get crossfires on him. My goal is to allow him to bow into this Turpitz and the I believe it's the lightning on the enemy team as well that's here, and not have to worry about this Pensacola, or, well, it's really just the Pensacola on his flank, which isn't a huge deal, but I'm trying to keep these guys on the 9-10 line off of him. That's kind of the goal here, so that he can focus on the guys that are behind this island. They're getting pinched, as you can see, by our destroyers, who are making a very aggressive play down the 5-6 lines. So it's possible this works out. That's why I'm hanging around, but our Massachusetts decides to go flat broadside to a Turpitz at close range, and he loses a big chunk of his health. And as well, the enemy aircraft carriers coming in to try and torp him. So this is not a good situation for our Massachusetts. I am being very predictable right now. As you can see, I've been in a straight line for a long time. I've been trying to help. Maybe if the enemy DD gets spotted by the Massachusetts, I can get a shot in over the island. Maybe the Pensacola gets spotted. Right, I'm looking for these shots of opportunity to help my Massachusetts, even though he's going to go down. And as soon as it's clear that nothing is really going to come of this, I won't be able to help him that much. I decide to turn around completely. And as well, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, where's the torpedoes coming from? Because this Akatsuki that's behind us has to be torping me at some point, right? So I was going in a straight line for a long time. So it was a good choice, I think, to turn around. And you could see he gray lined some torps right for where I was going. So definitely a good dodge, but yeah, that could have gone a lot worse if the DD had put his torps in a slightly different spot, or maybe spread them out a little much. Alabama pushing in. Well, that's a big threat, so we need to be careful with our positioning here. You notice I'm flat broadside to this Alabama. That is on purpose right now. I'm trying to get behind this island that's actually directly behind the camera right now, and I'm trying to put that island in between myself and where I think the enemy destroyer is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slow down and stay angled to this Alabama and try and kill him before he comes around the island. Or at least put pressure on the Alabama so he can't come up and flank our team. That is the goal of what I'm doing here. I don't want to get torped. I'm trying to keep myself safe from that enemy destroyer while putting pressure on this Alabama. Because we're losing this side pretty clearly, and if that Alabama is allowed to get up near my position, this rock for example, well, he's just going to crossfire the guys on the 4 line, 3 line, that kind of thing, and we're just going to lose this match. Because you can see there's an enemy Bismarck applying pressure on the 3 line. So if we allow that crossfire, we lose. So that's why I'm staying here in this position. And putting this island behind me is the best way to not eat torpedoes. You can see our Trento is kind of going after the enemy DD, which is also helping me hold this position well. We get a relatively lucky citadel, I would say. I certainly wasn't expecting that at that angle. And I think he's actually on fire. Our 2 destroyers are very close by, so me putting this pressure on this Alabama means he wasn't actually shooting at our destroyers, meaning he'll go down and our DDs will live, which is a very, very, very good thing. But now that this flank is not secured, but held off for now, I think it's time to go back towards the middle. There's no point in pushing into a Pensacola who's just going to run away, and an enemy aircraft carrier, even if it's tier 6, it'll still be able to focus you and get a bunch of damage off of you. So it's time to run. And not run away, but run towards where our team is pushing. You can see on the 4-5 line, our Bayern and Nuremberg are looking to push in, and we need to be there to support them. I don't think I'll get around this island in time on the 7-8 line to actually help our 2 destroyers here. They're taking fights with much healthier destroyers and are likely going to go down. So I need to get myself in a position to help my team gain back map control after these 2 destroyers go down, because they've pushed aggressively, and props to them. They did a pretty good job, actually. I would have thought they would have died much sooner in their push, but they're still pushing really aggressively. I don't really know why. So they're probably going to go down. Our Lenin goes down to the Bismarck. You can see the Bismarck would have had really nice cross shots on us if we had allowed that Alabama to push up as well. That Alabama-Bismarck crossfire across the map. That's what I was trying to stop. And, well, we successfully took out the Alabama with our team's help there at the end. And put a chunk in the Bismarck, and he's probably going to go down as well. So that means this middle map push isn't actually that bad. Normally, pushing the middle of the map is a horrible idea. But as long as you use islands intelligently here, a middle of the map push can work. And you can see over 10 minutes have passed in this game, and now I'm finally getting in a position to push. That's how patient you got to be, even as a top tier battleship. You got to be that patient if you want good brawling pushing matches. That's kind of just how it goes these days. So just keep that in mind. These don't happen without a lot of skill involved and timing and good positioning. I got lucky on Matchmaker for sure, but good decision making also helped me to have a game like this as well, right? We don't push in super aggressively like the Massachusetts or the enemy Alabama and Bismarck did, that kind of thing. You got to pick the time, right? And now is certainly the time. We're actually losing this game, so we have to push regardless of if it's the right decision or not. But since we've dealt with a lot of the flankers, it is the right time to push. This Skane gets his engine knocked out by someone, which is really lucky for me. And our secondaries actually finish us off. As you can see, 5 AP shells out of the Massachusetts. Definitely a lucky salvo. You wouldn't expect that from a Massachusetts. Even at that range, I would say. That was pretty solid dispersion. But the Bayern gets traded out, so we're still down on ships. Broken engine, broadside Pensacola? Well, this has to be a dev strike, right? Or kill, right? Considering he's on low enough HP that it won't be a dev strike. But no, 4 overpen somehow. So the RNG swings back and forth, right? But we do have this Gade caught in a really, really bad position, right? He can't realistically go around the other side of the rock because the Pensacola and Nuremberg will get him. So he grounds right in front of me, and that's basically just a free kill. What we need to do now, though, is we need to worry about the Grafspee and New Mexico flanking us. That is the big threat right now. They have a lot of health still, and their firepower, while only being tier 6, is definitely enough to take out some broadside and low health cruisers, right? You could see our Trento is very low. Our Nuremberg, while not being on the lowest health, is definitely a squishy cruiser. I think we all know that. They like to explode. Same with our Pensacola. So they still have a shot into this game, especially since that lightning could definitely torp and kill a lot of the people that are pushing in yet. If we hadn't been so, I don't know, lucky, or the enemy team's destroyers kind of overstayed their welcome there at those islands on the 6 line. If they hadn't have done that and they had kind of stayed farther back, torping and constantly resetting us, I think we probably would have lost this game. The lightning could have smoked up, the Skane could have spotted and torped, and we would have been on fire, dying very, not quickly, but we would have died to a lot of those DDs. So we got pretty lucky that the destroyers ended up getting caught in a bad position there. You notice I didn't shoot at the New Mexico, and I popped my spotter plane. That was so that this Grafspee might get spotted and be flat broadside to me. And yes, the full health dev strike does happen every once in a while. Those fireworks are Halsey's Confederate medal going off, and that means we have a 20% better reload. So this game's pretty much locked up at this point. Our positioning using islands intelligently to isolate fights. That is why I pushed towards this island, if you're wondering, and I didn't just charge directly into the New Mexico. I wanted to isolate some fights, try and not sit under the fire of two ships, right? That's always the goal. As well as just running right now away from the lightning. There's no point in pushing into a lightning. As you can see, the lightning is spotted, and he'll smoke up and just start farming our guys, right? Lightning smokes, Royal Navy smokes definitely are great for farming people while they push in, because they don't last very long, but they last just enough time to where you can farm for a little bit, and then once your position is starting to get overrun, you leave your smoke, fall back, set up, and farm again. That's what they're very good for, so that's why pushing a Royal Navy DD is really not a good option. As well as their torps can hurt, especially if they Congo line them at you and they get a good set at you. So we're at 188k, a really awesome game. We got every medal we want out of the match so far. It's the fun ones, right? Close quarters expert, dev strike, high cal Confederate. Definitely an excellent game here. But it's not over yet. We should win this, but it is possible that our cruisers all die, and then we're left alone versus a destroyer and a carrier. And that is not an easy fight to win, potentially. But yeah, a really good game. And the majority of why this is possible is down to positioning well. Covering your flanks, making sure you're not getting caught in crossfires, using islands to your advantage to isolate 1v1s, catching people off guard, using islands to push, that kind of thing. A map like North becomes very fun in these islands here in the middle later game. And that's why, really, you kind of have to wait that first 10 minutes out like I did. It's kind of boring playing like that, but that's kind of what you have to do if you want to get into these brawling scenarios more often, is you have to play very, very patiently in order to actually get the opportunity to have this kind of fun. As you can see, our cruisers did all die, and fortunately though, the Trento stayed alive just long enough that we were able to get an HE salvo into the lightning and collect our Kraken Unleashed, and that is the match. We don't actually end up being able to chase down the carrier. I did try. I tried my best. I went straight for J1 because that's obviously where the carrier was going, but I never actually got into range, unfortunately. So a Kraken Unleashed, though. Big game like this, I'll take it. I'll always enjoy Massachusetts games like this because they don't happen very often, right? They're rare, so you got to savor them when they do. And yeah, only 3 other people above 1,000 base XP on our team. I would call that a pretty solid carry job. A lot of fun, actually. A lot of fun. Hope you had fun with that one. I'll just show you the build real quick here. So this is the build that you've seen in an Ohio video already. I am trying this AA build out, and you can see we were taking down planes reasonably well in that game. But again, it's a tier 6 carrier, so that's pretty much expected. The interesting thing will be to see tier 8 carriers, or maybe even tier 10 carriers, seeing how we do against those ones. Which I haven't run into yet, fortunately, actually. I would say I'm fortunate to not have run into those. But this is the build I'm currently running. If you're looking for a more standardized build, I would say you would remove AA Gunner, and you'd probably take Vigilance. Of course, not having a Hydro is the downside of the premium American battleships, compared to the other secondary ships like the Germans that have Hydro. So getting Vigilance helps dodge torpedoes for sure. As well, other good options are Priority Target or Grease the Gears, or even IFHE if you really, really want your secondaries to full pen lower tier battleships. The other thing here with AA Marksman, you could definitely take Basics of Survivability, a very good option to be a lot more tanky against fires, or if you're looking for a little more DPM as your health gets lower, Adrenaline Rush is also good. But yeah, that's kind of the build that I've been trying out recently, and the equipment has stayed the same. It's just secondary focused with some tankiness and concealment. I really do enjoy having 13 kilometers detect with 11.3 kilometer secondary range. That's not a very big window where I'm spotted by someone and I can't get my secondaries off at them. That distance there is quite nice to have, and part of what makes the Massachusetts so good. Obviously, it's a lot down to the heel being so nice, but yeah, a really fun ship. Probably still my favorite battleship in the entire game, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the match and had fun watching that one. I certainly had fun playing it. And yeah, hope you have a great day.